shaking, and you feel your heart is breaking. Take my hand, no hesitating. When you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Good evening. Hope you are doing well. It's Saturday evening, November 6th, and we started pretty much on time with our little intro. And it was quite a dreary day. You know, it wasn't actually that much rain, and they were expecting more rain, but it was kind of dreary, very dark. So hope everything's going well with you. We have a lot to talk about. I have a new listing in Hampton, and wherever you're seeing this video, you'll see more information on it. You know, photos. I'll be adding them up during the week, and then maybe next Saturday I'll have a little video to show. So I have a nice new listing, and I had a closing. I'm happy. Things are moving. Good news came out about the economy this week. There's a lot of jobs out there. Hopefully people go for them. We seem to be getting a control on the pandemic. That's good. I got my third shot yesterday. I got my booster, so I've had 3 now. And if you haven't been vaccinated, I hope you do soon. But the stock market is doing great, and as I just said, there's more jobs out there. So we're moving in the right direction. And once we get this supply chain under control, I think we're going to be really in really good shape. Okay. Just one thing I learned today too about the infrastructure bill. A lot of trucks who are delivering goods, right? They sometimes have a much longer route than a car would if they were going from a shipyard to a factory or to a warehouse, because they cannot go with their trucks over certain bridges and on certain highways because of their weight. Okay. But if we, meaning America, reinforces these bridges and these, it's not so much the highway, but it's the overpasses that go over maybe lakes, rivers, other parts of a highway. If they are not strong enough to support an 18-wheeler, then they have to go an alternative way, which takes longer. So by working on our infrastructure, these truckers will have shorter distances to go because they'll be able to take the fastest route, and that will mean more goods getting faster to the warehouses and then to the stores. So this is a good thing, and I never thought about that before. You never stop learning, and it's not just we have to reinforce the bridges and the roads, fix them up, but by doing that, it perhaps then more trucks could take certain routes that they couldn't take before. So that's a good thing. So like I said, I believe we're going in the right direction. I hope it continues. I pray it does, because it'll help everybody in the long run. Okay. And speaking of which, I mean, because it will be helping a lot of people in the long run. Today we're going to talk about renting versus buying and the benefits of that. So let's do a little intro. Okay, that's good. Oh, another piece of information that I read this week, and again, it's something that's in the works, but they may be cutting out after 10, 11 years, or until you get about 20% equity, and we're going to talk about equity today, in your house, dropping the private mortgage insurance, also known as PMI. And what is this? Well, if you're putting down less than 20% on a property, the bank wants an extra security that in case you default on your loan, this private mortgage, or this part that is let's say let me say this correctly, like less than 20% of the property is protected. In other words, most people, before these special government programs came out, that, like for instance, Fannie Mae, where it's backed by the government, you could put down 3.5%. That's a lot easier than 20%, right? But it makes the loan more risky for the bank. So if you put down less than 20%, you have to take out private mortgage insurance. And depending on the size of the loan, that could be an extra $100 a month. It could be an extra $200, okay? Depending on the price, the cost of the house, okay, and how much of a loan you're taking out. So after the crash of 2007, the banking system said, well, we're going to keep that private mortgage insurance on for the life of the loan, the life of the mortgage. Usually it disappeared after 11 years, or when you've had more than 20% equity in the house, your true ownership in the house, that would disappear. Now they're talking about maybe making changes of that and slowly diminishing the cost of the private mortgage insurance after a few years. So I'm going to follow up on that. That's a good thing, because I don't believe that you should still pay private mortgage insurance after you have more than 20% home ownership or equity in your house. Okay. Now, if it didn't change, there are other ways you could do. Like once you had about 20% of equity in your house, you could refinance and then completely drop the private mortgage insurance. So there's ways to go about it. But again, when you refinance, sometimes you have closing costs, you have appraisal costs. So there's this money involved with refinancing. So, but if they just drop off the PMI, all of a sudden your mortgage would be $100, $200 lighter without doing a refinance. So that is a good thing. Now, this is a reoccurring topic on my blog and on my video podcast, but rent versus buying. And of course, as a realtor, I'd rather you come to me and say I want to buy a house than doing a rental, because honestly, I make more money that way. Okay, so I'll be very honest with you. Realtors will make more money much more money on the sale of a property than the rental. Now, here in Virginia, back in good old Brooklyn, New York, and I did mostly rentals back in Brooklyn because I was still a high school teacher. So I would teach during the day, and in the afternoon I used to work at a real estate office. And but when we found a rental for the renter, our customer, okay, and they weren't our client, there was a customer. That's a whole other topic, okay. We got paid. Well, some was 1 month's rent. A company I worked for did 10% of the annual. So, for instance, if a rent was $1,000 a month, 10% of the annual, you take 12,000, right? 1,000 times 12 is 12,000, so that's $1,200. And of course, they would split that with the agent, right? So just on the rental, and that's a low cost rental, $1,000. I would make $600. That's when I was working for a company. So I'm going a little off topic. I'm telling you a bit of my background. So when I worked in Brooklyn, New York, I worked I started in the 90s with doing, actually 1993, working in real estate, but I was a rental agent. When 2001, 9/11 happened, the rental market just completely diminished because the economy was hurting, and most of the renters in our area that were coming in were young college grads. So they graduated and they're starting their careers in New York City, and we were in Brooklyn. We were just a hop, chop, and a skip into New York City, and they would come to us. And they would start off with roommates, because they would split the rent. But that was our primary market. Once 9/11 came, the economy was hurting. No one was hiring. And then really not that many people were coming to New York City at that time. Now, I was a part-time rental agent because I taught during the day. So there was a full-time rental agent there, and he said to the boss, well, there's only enough for me. So they said, all right, Chris, there's only enough for this one guy, and, we're going to let you go. So they did. But in my neighborhood, people were still giving me listings. So I had my brokerage license at that time, so I started working on my home. By the way, uh, becoming a real estate broker in New York City is a lot easier than becoming a broker down here and starting up your own business. Um, Now, it might have changed, okay? I've been down here now 14, 15 years, so it might have changed, but it was a lot easier then. And so I started working on my home. I built my own website. Craigslist was just starting up then, and most people went to Craigslist to look for rentals. There was no cost at that time to put ads in, and I did really, really good for a part-time job. And but again, um, I was getting now. So I only charged 1 month's rent, but I wasn't splitting with anybody. So again, the apartment that was $1,000, I said I'm just going to charge you 1 month's rent instead of 10% of the annual, and I got 1,000. I didn't split it, right? So 1,000 is a lot better than $600, right? So I didn't push it. Was my competitive edge by doing 1 month's rent instead of 10% of the annual, and I did really good. Now down here in Virginia, we don't rental agents don't get 1 month's rent that they split or 10% of the annual. They get a finder's fee, which is usually like 10% up to 25% of the monthly amount. So that runs from $100 maybe to $140. Uh, it's. I mean, unless you're just working, once you're in the area and you have a lot of people looking for rentals, and you could do 4 or 5 a week, and you make $500-$600 a week. If that's good enough for you, and you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But well, I wish it would change. That it would be the renter that pays for it, or what'll be even better is that it's actually and I always felt, even back to Brooklyn, that the owner, the landlord, should pay the fee to the company, and that would be the 1 month's rent. All right, because we're helping them. They're going to be making income now, but that we would at least make 1 month's rent or 10% of the annual, and then it's split with the between the house and the agent. So anyway, that's my spiel. I know I went a little bit off course. I apologize. I really do. But the thing I want to say is that it looks like, and what I just talked about in the beginning, is that the economy is doing good. All right. And I always said, if you've been watching my podcast from week to week, I said that we have to get in control of this pandemic. Because if we don't, we're still going to have major, major issues. Okay. It looks like we're getting it under control. And hopefully, maybe by the middle of next year, this COVID-19 and the Delta variant will be something only a few people are getting, and it's not serious, and people are not dying from it. And then, which I think will happen, I feel confident about that we will get under control, and then the economy will be flourishing. It's doing actually good now, but we have this problem with the supply chain, and because products are not going out, and there's less inventory, right? So what do we learn about the housing inventory with strong demand and little housing inventory? What happens to prices? They go up. That's what's happening right now with our food, with our items we need to build homes. They're in small demand. And because of that, and the economy is good, and people want to eat, and they want to buy stuff, the holidays are coming, and it pushes up prices. Once we get this working of the supply of goods getting from ships that are out in the bays, it's mostly California, because we get a lot of products from China, right, from Japan, and then you from there. So that's where you have most of the. This work going to be really good. And what does that also mean? I don't see home prices going down. Uh, I, you know, most economists see them going up. Not as crazy as the last year. We go a year back from now, we're seeing an increase from 18, 19, 20%. They're saying, maybe 4. Some went a little bit high to 13, but a lot of them are around 5, 6% that they will go up. And we already see mortgage prices going up. That's already out there. So if you're able to purchase, and if you need to call me, and I'll put you in touch with one of my loan officers that I have worked closely with the last 14 years. We have a great relationship. They're very professional, and I like to say too courteous, because a lot of people are nervous about this process and finding out, how's my credit and what did I mess up on, and et cetera, et cetera. And they're great people. But once you are approved, and let's say if you do a pre-approval right now, and the loan officer says, well, we can't do it right now, but if you pay down some of these lines here, we could do it in 3 months, in 4 months, whatever. No matter what, you have a plan, and you could start working on that so that you could purchase in the beginning of the year. So if you're able to do that, my suggestion, like even if you're able to purchase now, my suggestion is to start looking now, because home prices will still go up, and the mortgage rates now, they were below 3. They're a little bit above 3 right now. It's not too bad, but they might go up to 3.1, 3.2, and now your monthly payment is more. All right, so let's look at our graphic. Let's bring our graphic up here. Now, I'm looking away with my caption here. We don't need to see that right now. Okay. So renters missed out on $51,500 this past year. And you might be saying, well, what does that mean? Why is that amount there? Well, we're going to find out that's what they see in the increase of home prices, which for people who have purchased is their home equity. So here in the highlighted area, since January of this year, the national median rent has increased by a staggering 16.4%. To put that in context, rent growth from January to September averaged 3.4% in the pre-pandemic years from 2017 to 2019. Looking back, we can see rents rising isn't new. The median rental price has increased consistently over the past 33 years. Now, notice that they use the term median in both cases here, and I like that better than the average. Because median means, let's say, just to make it simple, you have 100 rentals in this one area. Now, you could have a rental that's beat down. It's just your four walls, and a kitchen sink and an old refrigerator, whatever. And then you can have one that's exquisite. It's been completely upgraded with a new kitchen, with a new bathroom. So you have your wide range there, right? When you take those two properties and you average them in, it's not going to give you a true idea of what the cost of a house, of a rent is. Now, let's say it's a 3-bedroom, 2 baths. But median means that where the majority of those houses fall at. What price do they fall at? Okay? So they're not taking the highest and lowest, or taking all the properties, and let's say there's 100 properties and they come to a certain price and divide it by 100. they're taking, if a whole bunch of houses for rent are in the, let's say, the $1,500 range, the majority of them are there. That's what they see as a median price. And that's a very much better indicator or to understand what's going on than average. So here they really show in this graph how high. Actually, they start building up really high from 2018, but when we go to 2021, it really shoots up incredibly. All right. So this is what it comes down with this 51,500. The monthly renters stand to lose this year. A homeowner's monthly mortgage payment pays for their shelter, but also acts as an investment. That investment grows in the form of equity as a homeowner makes their mortgage payment each month to pay down what they owe on their home loan. Their equity gets an additional boost from home price appreciation, which is at near record levels this year. So what they're saying here, the latest homeowners equity insights reports from CoreLogic found homeowners gained significant wealth through their home equity this past year. The research shows the average homeowner gained approximately $51,500 in equity during the past year. So here they're using the term average, and that's a lot. And again, you might have people who got 30,000 up higher. Maybe some people did about 80,000, but they're giving the average right in the middle. Okay. So just to clarify this a little bit more, I took this from an on the FHA program. So understanding equity, say a home value is $250,000. You put down $17,500, and your mortgage is $232,500. So right at the beginning, if the home value, all right, and your mortgage that you took out is the same amount here, your home equity, what's truly yours, all right, it's not an unpaid balance, right? It's what you own. I gotta say that very carefully. Own, OWN, is $17,500. Now, in the next example, they show that after 10 years. So the original home value is $250,000. You paid down a lot of the mortgage after the 10 years. The principal that's owed is $186,208. So now your home equity is $63,792. However, most likely, all right, and in the example in the article, that the home values increased 3% annually after 10 years. And this is a regular market, not what we just went through, right? So that means a 30% increase. So now this value that was originally $250,000 is $335,979. And the same thing with the unpaid balance is $186,000. So your home equity with the appreciation is actually $149,771. So what does that mean? It means if you wanted to make upgrades to your house, you could borrow, like using this as collateral, okay? Or if you decide to, well, I need a bigger house, if you sell it and everything goes well, now this would be the amount before commissions and taxes, right? It would be $149,771. But then you have to minus real estate commissions and so forth, right? So here's where you're paying a mortgage, right? You see that it's debt, but you're actually gaining money, right? You're gaining wealth. When you're paying this in a rent, okay, whatever this monthly payment is, I forgot what they use in the example. There's nothing here, right? There's no home equity. All right, you paid just let's make it easier. So let's say your rent was 2,000. I mean, let's say your rent is $2,000 a month. Okay, that's 24,000 a year, right? That 24,000 is nothing; it's gone. But when you own a house, that 24,000 works for you. It becomes part of your home equity, which is really wealth. All right. Most people get wealthy because of their investments in the home, and when they sell it, they're making good money. So you're paying a debt, which a lot of banks will say is good debt because it's going to an asset. You're paying a debt, but you're actually making wealth. You're putting money into an investment, okay. So this is actually a good thing. Now, again, just a little side note: at the very beginning of your mortgage payment, the majority of your mortgage payment goes actually to interest. So you're not paying it down that fast in the very early years, all right? But as you pay down the interest, that's a whole other class. That's a whole other workshop or a podcast, all right? But as you pay down more through the years, you're actually, taking chunks out of that unpaid balance, all right? But nonetheless, the bottom line is that the money that you're paying is actually going to your benefit. It's building your home equity. It's building your wealth. So my purpose of all this, okay, is that if you can, it's much better to own than to rent. If you're not sure if you could do it, call me, contact me. I will put you together with a mortgage broker that is professional, and I have a couple that I work with. Okay, but they're all professional, and they're courteous, and they're kind, and they will put all your fears aside. And if you're able to purchase, they will stick with you to your side. One thing I like working with my mortgage loan officers, I could call them 9 o'clock at night if there's an issue, or sometimes they call me if there's an issue. All right, they don't wait till the next day, and I could start working on it right away. Okay, because most deals will have a little, stumbling rock in the way, and the sooner we could attack it and get it worked out, the better. So let's find out if you could purchase. Call me, contact me wherever you're seeing my information. Send me a reply, and we'll get in touch and we'll work it out. But again, the way the economy is going, and is going strong, unless something else major happens, the economy is going to be strong next year. Home prices will go up, not as much as last year, but mortgage rates will go up as well, which means that your monthly payment will be higher. So if you could buy now, do that if you can. All right. So I think. So I'm going to actually show you another little video on, which talks about rents going up, and let's take a look at that. So that's a nice way of summarizing what we just talked about right now. Okay. So again, if you're able to do it, call me. I'll get you together with a nice person, and if we're able to look now, we'll look now. I'm working during the holidays, okay? This is actually sometimes the best time to look for a home because there's like less competition. Um, so really consider it. But I'm hearing from my producer that we may have a special celebrity in the audience.
Great news. We have 2 celebrities in the audience. Known as the rolling skating duo, this couple appeared many times on The Ed Sullivan Show and various movies displaying their roller skating skills and thrill-seeking acts on rollerblades. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ravik and Babs.
All right, there seems to be a bad accident. He let go of her, and she went flying into the audience. I hope everything is okay. I'm glad they stopped by. I haven't seen them in a while, but I just hope everything is good out there. So that's our show for this week. Thanks for stopping by. We're getting into the holiday season. I've been already listening to Christmas music. I know that's going to drive some people crazy, but I love Christmas music, primarily classical Christmas music. But anyway, have a great week. Be kind to each other. If you are not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. And if you're not, wear your mask. And remember, the greatest power we have is the love. And the greatest gift, each other. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.